Hey guys, so we're now on part 5 of Ballads of Midnight. We'll get straight back into it. Chapter 7, A Hesitant Tune. I cried myself into a stupor. The next thing I knew, I was sitting in my bed with red, swollen eyelids and a throbbing headache. I have vague memories of Lucius carrying me to my room, grunting unhappily when he had to wedge his way in. I really need to stop pushing my bed against the door. And then, as he drew the covers up on my neck, he told me... What did he tell me? I tapped my temples in a steady rhythm, chasing down the memory before it eludes me for good. He wanted me to meet him in the courtyard. He said he would wait for me there until I felt well enough to see him. I think he said he had something to tell me. I pressed my palms into my eyes, hoping to reduce the swelling. Even my throat is raw from shedding years of pent-up grief. In Greece Place, a new flip-flop of emotion swirled in my chest, and my heart is pounding in an erratic, staccato beat. I think I'm going to be sick. I can't believe I told him everything. I even cried in front of him, slobbered all over his show clothes. God, it was mortifying. I never cry in front of people, let alone on them. I was so distracted by my own melodrama that I completely forgot to ask him about that ring. I shake my head, telling myself it's fine. I'll have plenty of time to ask him later. Lucius stands like a pillar into the moonlight. His hands are linked behind his back as he observes the heavens. For the first time in a long time, the sky is clear. A yellow crescent moon hangs high among the stars like a lopsided smile. I wince to the soggy squelch of mud with every step I take, but since he was the one who asked me to meet out here, I don't think he'll begrudge me for any muddy footprints. Hey, did I keep you waiting long? Lucius doesn't turn. I have something to show you. Ah, it was show, not tell. Is it another astrological phenomenon? No. His hands tighten imperceptibly behind his back. Lucius turns just enough to glance at me, and I shoot him a sheepishly puzzled grin in response. Something about seeing him renews his resolve. Follow me. Lucius leads me through a side entrance to the estate, through empty stables and servants' quarters. There was little of note when I ambled through here before. As we cut through a terrace, he stops to grab a light, a lantern. He holds it out in front of us through our path is far from dark. I continue to trail after him down several winding halls until finally we reach a dead end. Is this what you wanted to show me, Lucius? I've already seen every inch of this estate. What? Lucius pushes his palm against the farthest wall, relieving a door-shaped indent. He knees his weight into it until it gives way, unveiling a dark passage and a small staircase leading down. Lucius extends a hand to me with a sideways smile. Coming? I take his hand with a touch of a hesitation. His skin is cool from the night air. I don't want to climb any more stairs after this. Lucius laughs and pulls me a step closer. You won't have to. I can promise you that. An ambitious promise. This is the moment where you're luring me down to my doom at last. Yes, you're finally going to drink my blood and reduce me into a withered corpse. Yes, I prepared a wonderful marinade of citrus, olive oil, and green peppers to baste you in downstairs. Really? No. He leads me down an old cavernous path that expands in size the deeper we go in. The lantern sways from Lucius' grasp with each step, casting a pallid glow on our surroundings. I see now why he grabbed it. It soon becomes our only source of illumination. I squint when the light catches against an irregular surface. The sides of this path have been piled with broken and nonsensical objects, table legs, ripped cushions, and even some weapons. That's the cabinet broke on the first night here, isn't it? I was wondering where it went. Are those wine barrels? Yes, and yes. I used the underground as a storage room. So this is where you've been hiding all your ladders and buckets and wine. Hiding? Not at all. I just like to keep things tidy. Although, his hand tightens around mine. I do try to withhold the ladder from my guests at the beginning of the stay. The number of people who have tried to brave the moat and drowned in the attempt, I didn't want the same thing to happen to you. Because you would have missed my music. I would have missed you. I wouldn't have been able to help you, Flame. His voice is stern with a harder edge than I expected. If something happened to you in the moat, if you were unable to breach the water as I am, I would only have been able to watch. I do not want to see you suffer. The sheer weight behind his words makes me hold my tongue despite the temptation to make a flippant comment about my inability to swim. The ground begins to shift from solid rock to loosely packed dirt that turns and scuffs underfoot. Soon the path slopes and the air becomes heavy and damp. I find myself taking deep breaths, which only magnifies my growing apprehension. Lucius lets go my hand as we reach a steep precipice. My fingers curl inward, already aching from the absence of his touch. Lucius, where have you taken me? What is this place? Nailed in the precipice with wooden stakes, a long rope ladder extends further into the dark abyss. The opening becomes narrow below, but the structure of the passage seems secure and dry. No sign of water droplets leaking through the moat from the moat. I catch Lucius trying to hide a grimace when he kneels to inspect the strength of the rope. Deep beneath the earth as we are, we must be standing in the lowest part of the estate. But this far from the coffin must be straining for him. When Queen Hildegard banished me, when she sealed me in that blasted coffin, she ordered her soldiers to put me somewhere around here. Originally, this was an enclosed wine cellar attached to the estate, where my exile began and where I first awoke. Removed the wine, of course, before we began the excavation. Excavation? I told you before that I had a motley crew working on a way out. There were 5 of them, including Gillian. They dug for months under my supervision. You can see why I had to relocate the sleep upstairs, I'm sure. Where are you going with this? Is it not obvious? I'm setting you free, Flame. The tunnel will lead you safely into the moat and out the other side. I must have misheard him, I'm sure of it. That's the only reasonable explanation. You must have said something like, go fetch me some tunnel fish, or I'm trapping you down here forever so you can never cry on me again, you disgusting creature. You look as though you wish to argue with me. I understand verbal sparring is one of your favourite pastimes, but please, listen to me this once. Every day you spend here is a lost opportunity. This is time you will never get back. Why should you endure such a fate when you did nothing wrong? You do not deserve to be punished just for speaking your mind. All this over a mere song? You understand, don't you, Flame? Your freedom should never have been up for bargain. Your freedom? Yours is priceless, Flame. Lucius, wait. This is so sudden. I can wait no longer knowing the injustice you've suffered. Please, Flame, live your life and be free. You're not an immortal like me. You should spend what little time you have in happiness. But haven't you also suffered injustice, Lucius? Don't you also deserve freedom and happiness? Cast my eyes down the dark passageway, searching. If this leads into the moat, you should be able to travel beneath it, right? He no longer tries to hide that flinching grimace that cold reminder of his reality. The coffin, the secondary measure that guarantees he can never leave. Can't you bring the coffin with you? As long as it's nearby, can't you go anywhere you want? And what, carry you all the way through miles of tunnel and woods, stopping each day to clamber in and howl through my night terrors, terrifying the local wildlife? Then eventually, when do we reach civilization, you'll gain a name as the woman who travels with a possessed coffin. We'll both be social pariahs then, won't we? No, thank you. Besides, I believe I told you how deeply I dislike tight spaces. The tunnels beyond this point disagree with me. I'm better off here in my own private estate. How can you believe this is better? It's the only choice I have, Flame. It's the only life I'm allowed to lead. You best worry about your own choices, especially now that your debt is cleared. I'll provide you with a week's worth of rations, along with enough coin from my personal coffers to compensate you for your performances. Now, are you ready to go? Ridiculously, my eyes are swimming with tears again, despite my best attempts to blink them back and wipe them away. What will I choose? I'm ready to go, leave the estate. I won't leave you, stay with Lucius. I won't leave you. I won't leave you. You can't make me go, Lucius. I refuse to abandon you. Flame, please, you must see reason. I have explained why I cannot go with you. Then I'm staying here. I don't intend to leave your side, Lucius. Not now. Not ever. Lucius recoils from me as though he'd suffered a physical blow. How could you say such a thing? You have no future here. Yes, I do have a future. It's not as if I'm going to drop dead on the spot after deciding to stay. See? I still adore Beth. That's not what I meant, and you know it. You know as well as I do there's little to do and the food is lacking. On top of that, every 2 years, I risk dying at the hands of a hypothetical brigand. Lucius, it's no different from the world outside. The roads were very dangerous when I travelled with an entire caravan. I've also been forced to take lives in order to defend myself, by the way, so don't you try to bellyache about being too monstrous to associate with me. I wasn't going to. Let me finish. I hold my chin and meet his gaze dead on, much like when I performed in front of the Queen's court. You told me before that you would respect my right to choose. I dearly hope that has not changed. I know that our arrangement began from a place of punishment and debt, but as I spent time here and got to know you, I began to feel differently about my situation. You're right that my time is precious. I intend to spend it in a place that has brought me the most joy I've ever felt. I don't care about food or amenities, Lucius. I'll eat your disgusting fish every single day if that's what it takes to be with you. To be with me? I clasp my hand over my mouth. My own words sink in further as Lucius echoes them, and I realise with mild frustration that they were true to their core. Nothing is more important than being here for him. Somewhere beneath the surface, I've always known that my budding feelings for Lucius amounted to more than mere loneliness. I convinced myself that I was fine with being a companionless travelling bard, yet now it hurts to be away from him when the sun rises. How much deeper would that knife cut if I leave him now? I've seldom been in love. I'm not confident I'd recognise it even if it slapped me across the face. But this feeling I have when I look at him now... Oh, and I hate how honest I've had to be now that I'm close. Frequent proximity to someone I actually like. My voice shakes though I try my best to get my bearings. I've come to care about you a great deal, Lucius. Can't you tell? We live in a cold, wicked world. You know as well as I do that sending me back to it would not guarantee my safety. These bandits and wild animals, shipwrecks and desert heat. I'm grateful that I survived my fair share of adversity, just long enough to meet someone like you. Being here is the closest I've ever felt to having a home. Don't have much of a life to return to outside the estate. Maybe I want to rot here for the remainder of my brief and miserable existence. I want to discover what else we have in common, and I want to learn more about you. Would you deprive me of that? That is... Conflicting emotions wore across his features. I could tell he's tempted to give in, but he's just as strongly compelled to battle this to the bitter end. This is precisely part of the problem. You don't even know who I was before. A member of the royal family? I found your ring, Lucius. I was shocked at first, but you weren't the one who condemned me here. I won't hold you accountable for the cruelty of your successors, so please don't suggest that I hate you because of who you are. I don't. I suspect that you found it, but you still don't understand. Then explain to me, are you not royalty after all? These tunnels will be the death of me. I feel lightheaded and need some air. Lucius turns and stalks away, leaving me with the lantern. Lucius! There's an odd sense of deja vu as I pursue him through the servants' quarters, my pace far less hurried than his. Although his strides are long, I have no difficulty keeping up. He sews to a stop in the courtyard and once more stands with his back turned to me.
Do you know how difficult it was to make the decision to free you? A selfish, disgusting part of me is pleased that you would choose to stay.
It's not selfish to be pleased, Lucius.
Isn't it?
He whirls on me.
I told you what happened last time to Jillian. It took me years to recover. If any harm were to befall you, if you were to be taken from me, I don't think I could...
Gets himself off as this shuddering breath escapes him.
Lucius, I'm making this decision not from a place of foolhardy courage, but because your presence is worth enduring some apprehension. I am scared, you know. It's alright if you're scared too.
I close the distance, reaching for him, When he mirrors my movements, however timidly, I seize him and pull him into a fierce hug. Lucius trembles in my grasp, his fingers digging small crevices into the clothes on my back.
I can't promise I'll live forever, Lucius. No one can promise it. Not even you. But the time I've spent with you has been the happiest times I've ever known. I feel like I can talk to you about anything, even things I'd intended to bury forever. And the memories I've made here, I know to appreciate them only because I've had you by my side. Please don't deprive me of our bond. I want to enjoy it while it lasts, however long that may be. Lucius, I
think I'm falling in love with you.
My heart feels like it's stopped.
I know it sounds absurd. I know we haven't known each other long. But you're a beautiful, radiant woman. Anyone can see it. You must have better options than this. You deserve other options. I just know someone out there will worship the very ground you walk on.
His confession reverberates in my mind like a tuning fork. I feel dizzy and like I'm soaring all at once. But I pull myself together enough to murmur into his hair.
What if I don't want other options? What if I only want you?
Then I would be powerless to deny you my radiance. I would hate for you to regret this decision.
I pull away, not to detach from him, but to get a good look at his face. His eyes search mine as he cups his palms over my cheek.
I propose a new barter, vampire.
Oh?
I would have your heart in exchange for mine.
Despite himself, Lucius scoffs out a small laugh.
If you've thought this through, if you are truly, wholeheartedly certain,
then to rot we shall go together. He tucks flyaway strands of hair over my ear, such as a tender gesture for someone I once feared so deeply. Can I kiss you? You may. My eyelids flutter closed as he caresses the pad of his thumb against my lower lip. I love you, Flame. He murmurs the words softly, but close enough that his breath grazes my skin. Really, truly, and deeply, I love you. Lucius leans in and then brushes his lips against mine under the midnight sky. The world feels so suddenly weightless. I recede to come up for air, but Lucius pulls me back in, kissing me with the force of a crashing wave. So I breathe him in, along with the crisp, earthy scent of moist soil. The night air normally has a cold bite that sticks to my skin like molasses. When he holds me in his arms, it feels like velvet. Lucius presses his forehead against mine with a breathless chuckle, smiling so hard that I could barely recognize him. In all my long years, I have never met anyone like you. And in my comparatively very short years, I have never imagined I fall for a vampire. A clean freak with the driest sense of humour I've ever known. Clean freak. Oh, fine, you're not wrong. I still love you, you insolent creature. Lucius catches me around the waist and lifts me, spinning us into a turbulent half-arc. Lucius, don't tell me to contain myself, Flame. I won't do it for all the riches of the world. Bristling foxtails skim over my ankles and my feet fall uneven as he sets me down. Before I can regain my balance, Lucius clasps my hand in his own and begins stepping in time to a melody only he can hear. What are we doing? We're dancing as lovers do. I stumble as he guides our bodies into a revolving turn. I didn't know how to dance. Lucius, I've been tapping my feet along to my own melodies at most. He maneuvers me under his arm, then pulls me close enough to kiss my knuckles in a fluid motion. That's a good thing. You'll have all the time in the world to learn. Cicadas buzz all around us like a steady hum of applause. In the distance, a single ox frog begins the chorus of its song. Another joins in, then another, until the moat itself seems to hum with their reverie. The very stars feel like they're sweeping around us in a beguiling dance, embracing us in the wind-blown curtains of night. As Lucius dips me back, I realise there aren't stars at all when one of my... I realise these aren't stars at all when one of them lands on my nose. These are lunar flies. There are so many. Lucius, I think these are bugs that stung me when I first crossed the moat. Oh, God, we need to get inside. We rushed into the estate together, holding on to each other and giggling like children. Lucius knows only to pat me down and make sure none of these insects tagged along. Nasty little bastards. The worst stings will itch for days. I forgot how aggressively lunar flies breed during the rainy season. My cheeks hurt from grinning as he tends to me, diligently checking my hair under my arms. Lucius? Yes, my radiance? I nearly burst out in laughter at the pet name he's chosen, but I regained enough control to pass it off as a clear in my throat. I give him a quick peck on the cheek, redirecting his attention from checking for bugs to looking into my eyes. Ow. His lips tilt up in a smirk as he backs me gently against the wall, pinning me in place by propping his elbows next to my head. You're keeping me in suspense, Flame. What is it? Io, you made it difficult to speak my mind. I enjoyed challenging you. Right, okay, look, before we go any further, I think there were a few more things we should discuss. Lucius dips his head down and begins to kiss my neck. Lucius? No, I don't actually agree with you. We should set some expectations. He pulls away only slightly, a meager show of mercy. For example, he traces a line from my neck to the collarbone, sending a needy shiver down my spine. How do you feel about biting? Particularly the kind that will turn you into a creature of the night. Oh? Despite Lucius's easy demeanour, I know this isn't a decision I should make lightly. Turning into a vampire would be a tremendous change. Is it worth it in exchange for the promise of forever? I'm very interested. Biting would be hot, although I don't want to turn, or please don't bite me. Do you know what? I think he would be annoyed if you decide to say yes, I want to be a vampire. Especially after what you said to get you there. So, please don't bite me. Please don't bite me. The idea of eternity sounds as tremendous as it sounds distressing. I'd rather not challenge the natural order if I can help it. Lucius looks a little disappointed but doesn't hesitate to plant a kiss on my forehead as he sighs contentedly into my scalp. I would not do anything against you unless you explicitly permit it, my love. We just have to make the most of our time together. Thank you for asking. Of course, what manner of lover would I be if I failed to ask? He kisses my forehead again. Now, what was it you wished to discuss with me before we consummate our relationship? Oh, I mean, I'm a little embarrassed you're going to laugh at me. Is laughing such a bad thing? I was wondering if you were the first Illuvian king, the one who surrendered his crown to the heavens. He bellowed with laughter reverberating against the very walls. I knew you'd laugh at me. Oh, you jerk. Forgive me, it's jest. Flame, you may need to learn your history. Illuvia's first king resigned from the dawn of civilization. If I were with him, I would be very old indeed. My father's side of the family did claim to be descended from the man, but birth certificates can be so easily forged these days. I myself am no king. I was here for a long time, but I never ascended the throne. Which means you were a prince. I still am, if it pleases you. Lucius tilts his head, studying me as if a thought had just occurred to him. You know, Flame, you said once that I had no whimsical books in this estate, but I do have one on the subject of old myths around here somewhere. I shall see about finding it. Are you familiar with the story of Hesiod's jar? I think so. It's a box instead of a jar in some iterations, isn't it? The story involves someone opening a container just by being warned not to touch it, and in doing so they released all manner of curses upon mankind. You truly do know your stories. He caresses my cheek absent-mindedly. It is a tale that resonated with me for quite some time. I had a personal theory that there were two kinds of people in the world. The kind who prefers to live a blissful, unobtrusive existence, who would never risk those curses, and the ones curious to open the box, even knowing the consequences that would befall them. I'm fairly certain of the answer, but Flame, what manner of person do you think you are? Oh, curious as fuck. I'd be curious. I'd be rather curious, even if it hurts at first. You know me, don't you, Lucius? I have to see what's at the bottom of the jar. If I recall, despite its moral lessons of caution, the story has an optimistic ending. In the wake of the curses they unleashed, the main character peered just once more into the container. They discovered that hope remained. Though the released curses were irreversibly, hope would temper their effects. The true moral of the story is, although some curiosity can be a curse, more curiosity may be the curse. So given the choice, I'd have to open the jar. I would dig, I would rifle and root, and I would untangle every web I could find until I could see things as they truly are. You would prefer to be curious rather than content. I think I cannot be content if I were forced to temper my curiosity. I see. I should have expected no less from a woman like you. Your relentless nature is one I've come to admire. That's coming from the vampire, which, with an inhumane sense of restraint, I should be flattered. I nudged him, half expecting him to laugh and tease that he may just let his restraint slip tonight, but Lucius looks surprisingly contemplative. Lucius, is something the matter? I reach up to his face, feeling his jaw work under my fingers. He turns just enough to sigh warmly into my palm. I don't remember the last time I felt such harrowing happiness. I worry this blissful rapture of ours will be short-lived. Need to worry about such things so soon? He kisses my hand, soft and reverent. I prefer to chart out my worries sooner rather than later, Flame. There is something else I wish to share with you. Much like I have never told anyone about Gillian, this is a thought I've never voiced aloud. I believe you're the only one who will understand, who will help me understand. My eyelashes flutter with wonder. It's no surprise that a centuries-old vampire has accumulated enough troubles to plague his thoughts, though I'm a bit exasperated at his timing. Why bring this up now when I'm pinned in an intimate position against the wall? I'm eager to be helpful. What's on your mind? Not here. I need to find something. Will you have a seat and wait for me? Of course. Lucius exhales sharply through his nose, relief and gratitude all at once, and presses a lip to my cheek.